Welcome to Politics News Wolf US channel. The Russian army is now on the path of losing its title as one of the strongest military forces in the world. Before the Ukrainian war, the Russian armed forces was considered the second best army in the world. But the powerful Western weapons in the Ukrainian army crushed the invincible weapons of the Russian army. US-made weapons played a huge role in the success of the Ukrainian army. High-level military equipment in the inventory of the U.S. Army was sent to Ukraine to support Kiev. The Washington administration has provided nearly $50 billion in military and humanitarian aid to the Ukrainians since the beginning of the war. U.S. State Department data showed that Washington supplied Kiev with 1,600 Stinger anti-aircraft man-pads, over 8,500 Javelin anti-tank systems, more than 700 Switchblade tactical drone systems, and 142 155mm howitzers. In addition, the rest of this list included in a wide range of military equipment, weapons, ammunition, and defense systems, including 36 105mm howitzer, 8 NASAMS air defense systems, 20 Mu-17 helicopters, and 45 T-72B tanks. In addition, the U.S. Department of Defense stated that it supplied 109 M2A2 Bradley heavy armored combat vehicles to Ukraine. A battalion M1 Abrams tank will be deployed on the Ukrainian fronts as soon as possible. These mostly American-made systems made the Ukrainian army superior to the Russian army on land. However, until now, Ukraine and Russia had not been able to achieve air dominance at the front. For this, the Ukrainian administration demanded powerful warplanes and air defense systems from the USA and the West. Ukrainian cities were still not fully protected against Russian missile retaliation. For this, the USA, UK, France, and Germany sent their powerful air defense systems to the Ukrainian Army. Air defense systems such as NASAMS, IRIS, T, and Karela have achieved a success rate of more than 95% against Russian missiles and UAVs. However, there was still no solution against Russia's hypersonic missiles. For this reason, the Kiev administration requested Patriot air defense systems from Washington. The Patriot air defense system has proven itself in many areas, but it has not fought against hypersonic missiles until now. While Moscow despised the Patriot air defense systems, the Ukrainian people placed high hopes on the Patriots. It recently achieved a historic success against the Russian army's most successful hypersonic missiles and warplanes. Russia launched a wave of missile and drone strikes in the Ukrainian capital, Kiev, a day after 2 drones exploded near the Kremlin in Moscow. After a series of serial airstrikes and explosions in Russian cities such as Moscow, St. Petersburg, Crimea, PRS, Nador, Brest, Belgorod, and Kurs. Last week, the Russian army carried out the heaviest missile strike of the war on Ukrainian cities. Ukraine's Western air defense successfully destroyed Russian kamikaze UAVs and missiles. The Russian army relied heavily on hypersonic missiles, but Patriot air defense systems proved to be the god of war. It was quite remarkable that the Russian Air Force used Kh-47 missiles in its attacks in Kiev. This Kinel missile was fired from Russian soil by a MiG-31 of the Russian Air Force. But most of these Russian attacks were blocked by the Ukrainian air defense. Ukrainian forces recently confirmed that they had successfully shot down a Russian Kh-47 M2 Kinel hypersonic missile over Kiev. The blocking of Kinel by the US-designed MIM-104 Patriot surface-to-air missile system created a bombshell effect. In other words, the US-made Patriot air defense system used by the Ukrainian armed forces has accomplished the impossible. By shooting down the Russians' invincible missile Kinel, the US-made Patriot air defense system achieved a first in history with its 100% success and hit rate against Russian hypersonic missile systems. This shocking news clarified earlier, conflicting reports about whether one of the cutting-edge weapons had been destroyed. The announcement was made by the Ukrainian Air Force commander, Lieutenant General Michu, who described the event as a historical event on the social media platform Telegram. If you remember Putin speaking, when he introduced the Kinel, claimed that the missile was unstable to air defense systems. Of course, having such a missile provides serious advantages in the field of armed struggle. The power of this missile, as military experts say, can be enormous, and its speed makes it vulnerable to today's missile defense and air defense systems. But the Patriots, the U.S. air defense system used by the Ukrainian armed forces, completely broke this taboo. Ukrainian Air Force spokesman Yuri Ignats stated that the downing of Kinel was a slap in the face to Russia. After the downing of its most powerful missile, Siles, the general situation and course of the Russian Air Force began to seriously come to the fore. Russian pilots failed to take much action to support their troops on the ground due to poor training and outdated equipment. According to a report by the top British think tank, Royal United Services Institute. The report released this week outlined the strengths and weaknesses of Russia's Air Force in Ukraine based on a series of interviews with intelligence services, military experts, and Ukrainian Air Force commanders. Since Russia first invaded in February of last year, it was already known that one of its biggest failures in Ukraine was the failure of its pilots to provide dynamic close air support to Russian units on the battlefield. But recent war reports have resurfaced the situation. Supporting Russian ground troops required Russian pilots to fly at very low altitudes, according to the report. But very few Russian fixed-winged pilots had significant training or money for very low altitude, close air support in disputed airspace. Because this training in the basic Russian Air Force before the invasion never formed part of the duties of the Russian army. On top of that, it was clear that some Russian aircraft had known shortcomings with various sensors and weapons that did not allow them to effectively hit their targets. That is, Russia has not invested heavily in sensors, weapons, and pilot training, which the Western Air Force has acknowledged after decades of anti-insurgency campaigns where air power provides most of the deployed joint force firepower. The Russian Air Force has not had success since the start of its invasion, mostly due to the flexibility of Ukraine's surface-to-air defense systems. It largely defended Ukraine's skies with its own systems until October 2022. But now, with Western-supplied weapons and defense systems, including U.S. Patriot and Stinger missiles, Ukrainian forces have largely secured their security. But despite all this, it is known that Russia has a significant number of aircraft in its inventory, and there is a lot of capacity left. Therefore, all countries should act in cooperation to give Ukraine as much air defense capability as possible. On the other hand, while Russia's invasion of Ukraine continues so badly, with both the successful steps of the Ukrainian forces and the support of the U.S. Western Europe to Kiev, some striking speculations continue to surround Russia, especially after Russia's downing of Kinzhal missiles with Patriot systems used by Ukrainian forces. Rumors began to leak that Russian President Vladimir Putin would be overthrown with a close coup. The growing popularity of the war combined with a sinking economy and the staggering death toll helped fuel the idea that Putin would be forced out of power. According to military analysts, a coup d'etat becomes a real possibility when the political situation changes and the country has a truly unpopular president at its head, and war is really undesirable. In fact, No clear information was shared to prove this situation, but Russia's illegal invasion of Ukraine did not go well. In addition to the suffering inflicted on Ukraine, Russia has unleashed a number of natural problems upon itself from a military, economic, and geopolitical point of view. The occupation deteriorated Russia's stance. It also profoundly changed the geopolitical landscape facing Moscow in Europe. Similarly, Russian equipment was destroyed. Estimates show that Russia has lost more than 9,000 combat vehicles, namely tanks and armored personnel carriers, and Russia's aggression has resulted in international condemnation, which is manifested in economic sanctions. The result was that the Russian economy was pushed into recession. In addition to the material damage suffered by Russia, this invasion decision also damaged the reputation of Moscow and Putin. And this situation has become a pariah in the eyes of the international community. It will take years, if not decades, to overcome the hostility that the war has generated against Russia due to international backlash. So given the disastrous outcome of the invasion so far, the environment is understandably ripe for coup speculation. However, the probability of a coup still seems low, especially given that Putin is aware of the possibility. Last year, Putin fired more than 100 Federal Security Bureau agents to send a very strong message to those who oppose the war in Ukraine. Similarly, Putin placed the former leader of Russia's Fifth Service under house arrest. You can expect Putin to continue to take steps to reduce the likelihood of a coup. So for now, there is no change in power in Moscow. Maybe Putin can leave power when Russia has no more bullets to shoot than lose a very powerful missile like the Kinel, but then everything would be too late for Russia. Thank you for watching the video. We value your opinion. Please comment, share them with us, and thank you so much once again for watching this video. See you in my next video.